it's going to be fun to watch this fall.
See, this makes for a very easy kick return, by the way. You know, you've got a pretty good chance of going the distance when you're 11-on-1.
I don't think Ficken's got much of a chance there.
Well, Christian Hackenberg is one of the returning starters for this team. Overall, there are 15 returning starters and 41 returning lettermen this year. On the offensive side, 16 and 7 starters. On the defensive side, 23 and 7 starters. And once again, starting experience is huge at this juncture of the game. So first down for the 25-yard line for the blue team. Bill Belton, the senior out of Sicklerville, New Jersey, is the lone back in the backfield behind Hackenberg. And throwing right away on first down. Doesn't get to look any better than that. Richie Anderson with the catch out across the 35-yard line for a first down. That's like playing catch in the park.
Hey, just a little quick little route, get him going, and get Hackenberg in a little rhythm here.
There's so many things you look at with a quarterback, and clearly the ability as Richie Anderson makes that catch. He had 13 of them last year for 111 yards.
Wildcat formation.
And the direct snap to Belton, trying to find his way to the outside. He's going to pick up a couple.
Got to throw a few of those playground plays in here early, get the crowd into it.
I said you were talking about Hackenberg. There's so many things you look for. Obviously, arm strength is one of the things you look for. Decision-making ability. What is it that he does best?
Say that again, Scott.
What is it that he does best?
I think it really just his presence in the pocket. I mean, he really, when he's making a throw, he's stepping up into the pocket. He's making quick decisions, and for especially as young as he is, it's really impressive to see.
Blitz coming on second down at about 9. It's picked up. And that throw just a little bit too low for Jesse James out near the 45-yard line. It'll bring up third down.
See right there, he feels the pressure. He doesn't look, but he's feeling it, so he's stepping up in the pocket. He throws a little bit behind him, but still, there you see the pocket presence there by a young quarterback.
There's going to be an awful lot picked up today. I got to imagine, you know, as a head coach, you see guys in practice is one thing. To see them in a game situation, even this game situation, something different.
It's a little bit different. You got to shake the nerves off a little bit and see who's going to react and how they respond.
On third down at about 9, stepping up again and firing well over the top of Anderson. It was covered down on the post pattern. That's going to bring up fourth down.
Look at him step up in the pocket here. Hackenberg throws overthrown a little bit, but nice coverage underneath there by the linebackers. Like he's got the blitz coming off the edge and then steps up. Would have liked to see a more accurate throw, but hey, maybe Hackenberg shaking the nerves off a little bit today.
So again, what we have found out here today is that the situations with kicks and punts, well, the deck is really stacked against the return team here.
Little spread punt formation.
Fair catch call.
Fair catch. Here we go. Could have called that one.
I'm pretty sure that's an every catch kind of thing today.
Greg Garrity there on the fair catch.
Greg is a sophomore out of Pittsburgh. Of course, his dad, a Penn State hero. A touchdown catch in the Sugar Bowl in the national championship victory over Georgia.
Any Penn State fan has seen that highlighted 100 times over.
Now the white team comes out for their first offensive series from their own 19-yard line. And DJ Crook rolling out. Wow. Big-time hit on Wilkerson.
Adrian Amos there with the big hit. They got a lot of experience back there in the secondary. We see a little bootleg, reverse out, quarterback rolling out. Adrian Amos comes there with the big stick, knocking the ball loose. A lot of experience there in the secondary.
Amos has more career starts than anybody on this team, with 25 of them coming into today. That was a hit you would have been proud to call your own.
That would have been nice, absolutely. Amos is pretty good at those. Here's a little screen pass.
And the timing did not work out on that screen.
DJ Crook here couldn't connect.
Trying to get it out to Brandon Johnson. So third down coming up now, 3rd and 10.
Veteran defensive line here. Getting a lot of pressure on that offense.
And pressure again. And that's that. Big rush from the outside from Deion Barnes. Before you get to that, you're going to get a procedure call because the defense was coming.
Like we talked about with the numbers here, it's going to be tough matchup for the offensive line here against that veteran defensive line. That's probably, I would say, one of the strengths of this defense. You got a lot of guys there with a lot of snaps. You got Zettel there, Austin Johnson, C.J. Lanawan, and Deion Barnes. That's a solid front four there for the Penn State defense. Guys who are used to making plays. 3rd down and 15 now after the procedure call for the white team. It's not getting a whole lot easier back there. That's going to do it for that. Once again, great pressure into the backfield. There's Zettel again. I was talking to the coaches all week, and here's a guy that's made a ton of improvement all spring, and literally just said he's unblockable. And then again, you got to understand the numbers there on offensive line, but still a guy with a lot of experience, and they're going to need that on the front seven, stopping the run game this year. And as you're going to see a lot of today, education comes immediately following the end of the drive. And the punt. Fielded at the 40-yard line. And the 40-yard line is where the drive will begin. Time out of the field, just a couple minutes in here to the blue-white game. The opening moments here this spring, we are scoreless. BTN goes where you want, when you want it with BTN to go. Presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Watch live games on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. BTN to go is now available to all major subscribers who receive BTN through their cable, satellite, or participating video providers. To learn more, visit btntogo.com. Also available in the App Store and on Google Play. We are now being joined in the booth here in the first quarter by a very familiar name and face to Penn State basketball fans. Certainly somebody who's a heart and soul, an enthusiastic player, and is going to go down one of the great players in Penn State basketball history. Talking about Maggie Lucas, who is here with us right now, and get an opportunity to see some of the stuff that's going to be remembered by a lot of people for a long time. Congratulations on a terrific career.
Thank you very much.
I tell you what, you look at it from where you are right now, and, the career is just a couple weeks in the distant past, but you've got other stuff coming up. How special do you think it's going to be to look back at that stuff later on?
It's going to be so special. I really enjoyed my time here. The basketball, the conference games, just the fans, the family, the DC. It's just
We're having a couple of audio issues right now, so we're going to try to continue along here as we get that straightened out and continue our conversation with Maggie. First couple of minutes here of this blue-white game and a scoreless ball game as the blue team gets their second opportunity and picks up a first down right off the bat on this possession. Out of the shotgun now for Hackenberg. Setting up the screen. There it is.
Akeel Lynch on the screen pass, making some shifty moves.
He's been known to do that.
Absolutely. Nice to get the offense moving there early in the series and try to get something going here. It's a nice catch, setting up his blockers, and Akeel Lynch making some nice moves.
Now, hopefully we've got the audio problems worked out. Maggie, we hearing you on that microphone now? Yes, so. We are. Absolutely. Very good. So as we said, Maggie joining us here, and we're a couple of days away from what's going to end up being something very big for you. We'll get back to that in a moment. We were talking a little bit. People might not have been able to hear about, there's a legacy for you in basketball. It's going to be coming further on down the line. Have you given any thought to that, or is it too soon?
I think it's a little too soon. It's still pretty fresh just being right there. It's hard to think that I'm actually done playing here. But it's been an unbelievable ride, and I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Well, you take a look at what it was that you accomplished. Fourth in Big Ten history, 2,510 career points. Big Ten leader all time in 3-point. And here's the one that gets me: 2,000 points, 500 rebounds, 250 assists, 200 steals. Obviously, a complete player. That's That's a lot to do. I mean, obviously, you had a tremendous responsibility with this team.
Yeah, I mean, just try to do my job every night, and I was lucky to get a lot of minutes. So when I was out there, I just tried to make them count.
You look like somebody who also brought a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. How much did your teammates feed off you?
I would hope a lot. I'm the kind of player who feeds off the fans. As the game gets going and big plays happen, I just love it, and I get super into it.
Now, as a Penn State student, you have no choice but to be a football fan.
Yes.
How big a football fan are you?
I'm a pretty big fan. I can remember this year's Michigan game. I didn't have tickets, but I sat right outside the stadium, and I was listening to the whole thing, and it was pretty fun.
Wait a second. You didn't have tickets?
I did not have tickets, no.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's messed up.
I know.
Take care of our student athletes
take care
here.
of me.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of taking care of our student athletes, look, I gotta ask you a favor.
Yeah.
I gotta get the autograph.
I'll hold that for you. There you go.
All right, I got you.
For the All-Star.
Nice.
It's better go on your mantle.
Last year, you asked for mine. I got to return the favor. I need yours. Two-time player of the year. Unbelievable. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So we're talking, obviously we're at a very big moment because there's a draft coming up.
Yes.
And your professional career is very likely to be starting very soon. Mm-hmm. Have you given a lot of thought to that? You have to, right?
I mean, yeah, but the biggest thing for me is just what I've done my whole career is prepare. So the last couple of weeks, just back in the gym, getting myself as prepared as possible. And, that's all I can do.
Any kind of a feel for how different the pro game is from what you've been playing?
It's strong, it's physical, it's fast, just another step up.
And where you go doesn't matter at this point?
No, you have no control over it. So, like I said, just controlling my controllables and getting in the gym and working hard.
Now, you seem pretty comfortable holding the microphone. Is that something else you might want to be thinking about doing?
Yeah, you never know. Maybe one day. All doors are open.
Once the basketball's done?
Yes.
How about if we put you to work today with the microphone?
Hey, I'd love it.
All right, cool. We're going to do
down.
that.
Sounds good.
Hey, you're a guy.
Need some help up here,
You're a guy who's lived through what a draft is like. I mean, obviously, that's a real difficult, emotional time, isn't it?
It is. It's stressful. It's like the best and the worst all in one. You got your family there. You're waiting for the phone call, and it's exciting, though. I mean, it's something you only do once in your lifetime, so it's just something to enjoy. Just take in every moment.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, and we'll be talking to you during the second quarter.
Sounds great to me.
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Maggie.
9:32 left here in the first. And as that drive stalls, we're going to see a 25-yard field goal attempt. Opportunity for the special teams to shine as well. Sam Ficken has had himself one heck of a preseason. He's really impressed his head coach. We'll talk more about some of the things that he's been able to do during spring practice leading up to this point. A 3-0 lead for the blue team with a timeout on the field. Sam Ficken, a 25-yard field goal, and the blue team on top here in James Franklin's first blue-white game as we continue in the first quarter. Let's take it down on the field to Brian Tripp.
Got John Donovan with us, the offensive coordinator. Some wildcat early on. Are you trying to get the ball in the playmaker's hands?
You can call it that. We're going to try to keep it as basic as possible. We'll mix in a couple things there. That's one of them.
Now that you've had a chance to see Christian Hackenberg this spring, obviously you can pick up some things on tape, but when you get to see him in person, what does he bring to the table?
Great kid, for one. We love him. He's smart. He's tough. He's got talent. He works. He's got everything you want, and you need a trigger man to get where you want to get, and he's definitely a guy that we're happy to have.
John, when you look at Christian Hackenberg and from the tape, and now that you've got a chance to see him in person, what about the progression? He's gained a lot of weight. He's put on some muscle. How's that going to help him make some throws?
You liked what you saw on tape, but you never saw him throw in person. So right from the get-go, you see him throw in person. You're surprised. We were a little bit surprised how athletic he was because he's much more athletic than maybe you might think. He's an athletic kid. He's got a good arm. He's smart. I mean, he's everything you want. And, we're looking forward to moving forward and getting even better.
I know you're busy calling plays. I'll let you get back to that.
That's all right. Thanks a lot, Brian.
All right. Thanks, John. Back to you guys.
Hey, bud.
Now the kickoff right back into the end zone. Again, if you're joining us late, no returns on punts or kicks here today. It's basically the ability of the kicking and punting team to run through what they're doing, at least to this point. That's how Coach Franklin has set it up. Does every coach look at this differently in terms of how the spring game runs?
Yeah, I think it varies from coach to coach. I mean, you got to find a balance. You don't want to be hurting anybody, losing anybody in spring ball, but then again, you want to get some good work in, and you want to get especially you're in front of the crowd, you want to make it exciting, so you got to put on a little bit of show here.
First down for the white team. They struggled to move the ball their first time. Not so much here this time as Deshaun Baker makes a pretty move, and he's have a gain of about 9 yards out to the 34.
Smooth tackle by Hull there. It's going to be that moved him to Mike linebacker. He was playing outside last year. And a little rollout pass there. Mike Hull's going to be, they're going to be expecting big things out of him to really lead that defense. And got that prestigious middle linebacker spot in Penn State defense.
Baker out of Philadelphia at Penn Charter High School. An area well known to his new head coach. Little slant, the ball hit at the line of scrimmage on second down.
And we see that D-line, that surge of the D-line, man, they're coming off the ball. And those guys are, like I said, they got a lot of experience. So it's going to be they're going to be fun to watch this season.
Does having a defensive line that's able to do what they can do, is that going to make Mike Hull's job easier making the transition to the middle?
Without a doubt. I think the more that they can take the pressure off of him, getting hands on the guards and tackles coming up on the second level, he's going to allow him to flow sideline to sideline and be able to make some plays just like that right there.
Blitz coming, and the throw is nearly picked off. Trevor Williams got it in his hands but couldn't hang on to it, and it brings up fourth down.
Trevor Williams, another guy in that veteran secondary, has a lot of experience, played as a true freshman, and I mean, the kid has just been making plays as long as I've been watching him. He's a talented guy. Nice break on the ball, got to come up with it.
Very close to a pick. Last year, you see the numbers, including a couple of interceptions for Williams, the junior out of Baltimore. Boy, you couldn't get a better day for this.
Beautiful day outside.
Horrific winter on the East Coast. It actually feels like spring today. And if it feels like spring here, it feels like baseball around the rest of the Big Ten. Tomorrow, baseball returns to BTN when Minnesota hosts Nebraska. Coverage starts at 3 Eastern. Tomorrow on BTN and BTN to go. You a baseball guy?
I played growing up, actually. I thought that's what I was going to do before I discovered football and learned how to hit. I was a catcher, played a little bit of center field. And
center field?
Yeah, I could run.
Big center fielder.
Well, I wasn't that big back then. I was the smallest kid in my class and used to get beat up. And actually, you know, one day I sprouted 6 inches, and the rest is history, I guess.
We'll talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing throughout the course of the afternoon, but just coming off your first season in Minnesota in the NFL with the Vikings.
Speaking of winter, I was left there about negative 20.
Eye opener, huh?
In December. It's a little bit of a cold I hadn't seen before growing up in Louisiana.
That Zanalato makes that catch, but you got a penalty that's moving him back. The play is nullified.
Zanalato, one of those veteran receivers Hackenberg's counting on to really make things run smoothly in the huddle. Great route runner, great hands.
One of the big things that you're doing, too, if you're Christian Hackenberg this year, is you're finding new targets because your best target is moving on and going to be joining you in the National Football League.
Absolutely.
Nice play made.
Play to Daquan Davis there. Really nice break on the ball.
It's about the midway point of this first quarter. Under the very watchful eye of the head coach. Standing about 15 yards back from the line of scrimmage, behind the offense. Third down at a bunch now, 3rd and 16. He's got plenty of time. And a touch pass. There it is. Just out in front of Geno Lewis, who was behind the defense. That pass is there. That likely could be 6.
Probably should have been there, Scott. I mean, he had him wide open and just kind of overthrew him just a little bit. You see Geno got some wheels just right outside of his grip there.
Let's go back down to Brian Tripp, who's got a very special guest. Brian?
Hey, Scott, I have Jordan Hill here with me. Jordan, would you have caught up to that pass?
No, definitely.
Jordan Hill, the defensive lineman for the Seattle Seahawks. Take me through it. Super Bowl week. Obviously, this year you had some playing time on the field. What was it like being a part of that?
It was definitely a great learning experience for me, through my rookie year. I learned from a lot of great players on Seattle's defensive line. And a lot of people in there, influential, like just to learn how to play football and how to go about your business and be a pro. It was a big year for me. Even though, I got injured and, I really only played about five, 6 games. But every time I got in there, it was a good experience for me and helped me for my future.
We had Mike Maundy up in the booth today. What was it like playing with that guy? He was a true leader on defense.
Man, it was easy playing with Mike, because it was a guy that showed a lot of passion. He put it out there on the line each and every play, each and every game. He played behind me, so, I was comfortable, with the guy back there going to make a tackle. If it got past me, I was like, all right, it's not getting that much further.
When you come back to Penn State and you see a crowd like this for a spring game, what's that mean as a guy coming back and you see the type of crowd that we have?
It means a lot, especially for me because, I hold Penn State close to my heart, and just seeing the support that we got, no matter what we go through each year, it's something new, it seems to be. And, these people don't give up on us. And that's the way it should be, and that's the way, Penn State fans are.
Have you had a chance to meet Coach Franklin?
I actually got to meet Coach Franklin yesterday, and, I think he's the right guy for this position.
Mike's pretty well dressed today, too. Thanks, Jordan.
Is he?
Hey, Jordan is one of the...
Back to you guys.
Yeah, really well dressed.
One of the finest, not only player, but like you see there, just an outstanding young man. We're the same age, but talk about like a guy that you just when you needed to eat up 3 guys, not just 2. Jordan Hill. He let me run, and as a linebacker, he's the best thing you could ever ask for. He's had. Well, maybe a little bit better dressed today, but, if he was up in the booth, he'd probably be better dressed than me, I can assure you that.
Well, he'd certainly be better dressed than me, but had an opportunity, obviously, yeah. An opportunity to get a Super Bowl ring, and be a part of one of the most dominant defenses in recent memory. That Seattle defense has been, they were just so tremendous over the course of the entire year. That had to be exciting for him to be a part of.
Absolutely. I'm a little jealous that he got a Super Bowl ring, I can tell you that. Those are very, very hard to come by in the National Football League, so he is definitely one of a small group of men.
White team moving the ball now with Austin Whipple in at quarterback and ducking and running. And he's going to get it down to about the 37-yard line for a pickup of nearly 7 yards.
You see Gary Wooten here, probably tempted to throw a shoulder into the quarterback. That pulls up at the last minute. That's one of the hardest things to do for a linebacker. I feel like I was doing a lot of running for that kind of stuff, but Gary Wooten, another young linebacker, provided depth for us in that crew. But that's definitely you can shoot out for one of those if you put a hand on those guys.
Well, you saw in the replay, you saw his shoulders drop, which, oh, come on. I had him lined up.
It's usually the issue. This is where we come between our offense defense. When the quarterback lowers his shoulder, now we have, it's either, he knocks you back, you're not going to look bad by the quarterback, so you got to
let me guess, though, a little bit. With the coaching staff, the quarterback wins that argument every time?
Every time. Been in that position more times than I can admit.
Whipple bringing his team to the line now. The white team has a 4th down and a little bit less than a yard. And running straight ahead, and Hafner's not going to get it. Great job by the defensive line of the blue team. He ended up getting a little bit of forward progress, but he's going to be about a half-yard shy.
This is all C.J. Elaniwa coming down the line of scrimmage. He's shuffling. He's keeping his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage, and just makes a great tackle for loss. He's coming down block by that tight end, just coming right down the line of scrimmage. The one thing there is a guy like CJ is making a lot of plays, and last year especially, he's really come along. That's just all technique right there. A young guy, maybe as soon as he sees that down block, might run upfield and open up that seam for the running back. But CJ does a great job there, coming down the line of scrimmage flat. He's square, so he can make a nice tackle for loss.
There's so much that comes from experience. Elanian's numbers from last year, including 5 sacks.
You see Zettel standing there with half a shirt on. That D-line is going to be a strength of this team.
Opportunity to run the ball now. That's going to be good yardage for Chipielli. Sophomore out of Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. He's one of the guys who, when people were talking about the fact that there were 3 running backs to keep an eye on here in the spring, Coach said there's 4. And that's the young man he said that was going to get an opportunity. Michael O'Connor now at quarterback. We watched him throwing some during warm-ups.
He's got an arm all the way from Florida.
Real strong arm. And right back to the ground. And a flag on the play that's going to be a holding call. It's going to negate Chipielli's gain.
Chipielli, we see some making some nice reads out there and running back. Daquan Davis coming up, making a nice tackle from the cornerback position. See how far they take him back here.
And Holt going to knock him back to the 34-yard line. Talking about Chipielli, not a very big guy, 5'8", but 211, solidly built. Played the last 9 games last year on special teams. And as we said, he's from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. There's a quarterback. The guy wore number 12. He's pretty good. Came from Beaver Falls. Went to Alabama, played for the Jets. I'll think of it in a second. And that's going to be a sack. No opportunity at all for Michael O'Connor to get rid of the ball. It's all the way back inside the 30.
Nice pressure there by the defensive line. It's hard for that. When the D-line gets in that position not to touch the quarterback, it's one of those things where you just put your hands up, hope the coach doesn't point you out.
It was almost like O'Connor said, all right, fine, I'll go. For those of you struggling with the name, I was talking, of course, about Joe Namath, Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback, who hailed from Beaver Falls. Third down. They've got to get it out near the 45. O'Connor showing off that arm a little bit too high, though. A lot of contact, no call.
I think that's a good no call there. Safety going up for the ball. Let's see the replay here. Get a better look at it. Nice, a little overthrown. Safety, he's obviously going for the ball there, not intentionally knocking the receiver off his route. But of course, offensive guys, they're going to get up and yell the flag regardless. So,
well, Kyle Carter did get hit. It was Brian Tomasetti who was making that play up over the top. Now, lesson time.
Kyle Carter, another guy. I mean, they got tight ends here, it seems like, for days. But a guy like Jesse James, Kyle Carter's another guy, very talented and one of those weapons for Christian Hackenberg.
That short kick. That's going to be fielded by Garrity, so good field position for the white team. You talk about that depth at tight end. That's not even mentioning Adam Brenneman, who has not been playing this spring. He'll be expected to be back when they get ready to go in the summertime, but great depth at the tight end position.
Absolutely. Jesse James came in as a freshman 2012, and he's been making plays ever since. Kyle Carter, another guy. The more weapons that Hackenberg has, I guess, the quicker he can get rid of that ball.
And whistles all over the field, and another procedure call coming on the white team as DJ Crook is back in at quarterback. All right, so how many of these lessons that are going on the sideline in the middle of the spring game, how much of that is sticking with you?
Really all of it. I mean, as a player, you got to make adjustments on the fly, and you're getting coached up, and it's really like any other practice, except, now you get to come off, you get your reps, and then you come off, you get coached up, and then you get back on the field next series, and you fix it, hopefully, and everything's on film. I mean, there's Zettel again, just taking over the line of scrimmage there.
What I'm saying is you got two different things going here. First of all, some of those guys are freshmen. Second of all, and I got to imagine that they're trying to soak up everything they can. What about the senior who's sitting there on a beautiful day in April looking around? I mean, is he getting coached up well at that point?
I think, he gets his reps, and then he says, once they pull him, he's probably saying, it's good, spring's over, now I can just start looking forward to summer training and get into the season. But I think there's a little bit of sigh of relief. You make it through spring ball healthy, and you're ready to go. But
was number 42 listening in those sideline situations when he was a senior?
Well, I didn't. Coach O'Brien took care of me in the spring game. I got a day off on that one.
Yeah, you did.
Nice little screen pass here. Adam Geiger.
Good gain out across the 40. Third down, call it 12, and right to the line of scrimmage. They go, hurry up, no huddle. And that throw down the middle, flicked away.
Gary Wooten, they go 3 vertical to the strong side. Gary's carrying that tight end. Nice job getting his hat around.
Oh, a nice play by Wooten. And more instruction for DJ Crook.
That's the good thing about spring ball, too. You got the coaches out there, and everything these guys do is on film. Everything's being evaluated, so even for the young guys, they get a chance to really get coached up. And because sometimes they're not getting reps in the fall. It might be just first team, second team guys. So the guys that provide that kind of depth, you know, maybe the red shirt guys or some younger ones, they really get a great opportunity to get coached up and get the most out of these practices.
I got to imagine, though, if you're a guy who doesn't get a whole lot of reps during the course of the regular season, having the coach staring right over your shoulder, but he's seeing the exact same thing you are as the quarterback, that might be a little unnerving.
You know, nerves is part of the game, though. You know, I mean, I've had coaches that if I screwed up, I was scared to go back to the sidelines. But, you know, if you're scared of them, then you're not going to be even scared at all once you get out on the field. So I guess that's part of the whole mental thing, too. But you got to shake those nerves off and just go play.
So you can see the gray jerseys for the guys who are playing in the trenches today. They're an opportunity to play on either side as needed. And we're seeing that from the offensive linemen. First down from the 20-yard line now for the blue team, and Lynch with the toss going to pick up a couple. Keel Lynch wearing that number 22. Significant because that number 22 that's on his back, that's the last time you're going to be seeing a Penn State player wearing that jersey. Of course, that belonged to the legendary John Cappelletti, and it will be retired as soon as Lynch's career at Penn State is over. That announcement was made last year.
It's a pretty legendary number here. Other all-time leading rusher, Evan Royster, wearing that number. A lot of great running backs.
On second down. And Carter can't quite hold on as he was hitting the sideline. So you're going to have a third down and 8 coming up now. Closing seconds here of this first quarter. Christian Hackenberg led the lone scoring drive that led to a 25-yard field goal for the only points of the game so far.
I think we've seen the last of Hackenberg for the day. We'll probably see O'Connor, see if he can put something together here on offense.
As we said, we saw him in warm-ups. Strong arm. And he gets it out to Lynch. And only going to get out to about the 25-yard line. And that'll end up doing it for this drive. They're going to let the clock wind itself down. That'll probably be the final play of this first quarter before the punt, or perhaps they'll get the punt in, because as we found out today, there really isn't going to be a whole lot of action on the backside of that punt.
Not too much, not today.
O'Connor out of Ottawa, enrolled in January. An opportunity to get his feet wet here with spring practice and over the course of his first blue-white game.
O'Connor's an important guy in this program now. If anything were to happen to Hackenberg, he's got to step up there and provide that depth. So it's really, he's very much a critical part of that offense.
As we said, that is going to do it for the first quarter. So far, a field goal, the difference. Christian Hackenberg had his time in. That might be it for him, but we've got a 3-0 lead for the blue team. Okay, here I am. Check, check, check. Steve, can you hear me, Steve?
Of this football program, and I think we are very fortunate. The first 2 years with Bill O'Brien did a great job, but I think Bill O'Brien wanted to be an NFL coach and had the great opportunity at Houston, and I have no problem with him taking that job, but to turn it around and get a guy like James Franklin did a great job at Vanderbilt, and you're in that SEC, you don't have a lot of...
Well, everybody taking a look out at James Franklin, who made an address to the fans here in between quarters, saying that he wants 107,000 strong ASAP for this team coming out into the year to come. That's the football side of things. Now, the basketball side of things is joining us. An old friend, Pat Chambers, joining us. Good to see you, the head coach of the basketball team.
Great to see you, buddy. I got to be honest, I'm a little more excited to see this guy.
Wow.
Just a little more. We go way back, but I wore his jersey at a pep rally. I wore it. I was fired up. I had the jersey on, the helmet.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. That was great.
I was getting crazy in Rec Hall.
I'll tell you what. We got ourselves a gorgeous day out here today. A lot of fans out here today. And feeling this excitement again around campus. I got to imagine that permeates through every sport.
There's no question. We had a tent out there today. So we were doing autograph signing. We were shooting a little hoop. We were playing a little Xbox. We're doing a little caricature. We were dancing a little bit. We had a great time. And I know you talked about the weather, but this is unbelievable. I think it snowed like 2 days ago. I have sunscreen on and a hat. So. I mean, what an amazing day for Coach Franklin and his program.
Now, a new coach comes in, and obviously he's in charge of one side. You're very busy with another. How much interaction do you guys have?
You know what? We've had lunch together. We had a meeting in my office together. We've texted one another just to, the lay of the land, what's going on, how things are going. We actually just did a radio show. He was in studio. I called on the phone to kind of mess with him, things like that. So we're trying to help each other out, much like Coach O'Brien and I did.
Obviously, Coach O'Brien did a tremendous job here in very difficult circumstances. And now you kind of get the feeling that step has been taken. Now you have the opportunity here as a school to move forward to the next level. I got to imagine, again, that's something that everybody on campus feels.
No, I mean, look what he's doing. Look at the energy he's created. The guy's crazy on Twitter. Did you see that like half a minute?
Yeah, I did see that.
I was like, something's wrong here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
He's
great.
Crushing me with some of the great ideas because, I take great pride in that stuff, too, in the social media. But he's going everywhere, too. I mean, he's really getting out in the community. His staff's getting out there. The players are getting out there. I mean, something to be said for that. He's really creating some momentum going into the offseason here into the season.
Well, and of course, you're a very quiet, laid-back, low-energy kind of guy. You stay in the background type person. Obviously, he's got a lot that he's doing here, and it's all good things. In terms of your side of things, came off a postseason just now in terms of basketball. Where's the team right now?
Look, we had 16 wins. That's the fourth most wins, unfortunately, since 2000. So I think where we started, we're headed in the right direction. I mean, the first couple of years have been definitely rebuilding, but I like the promise of our team. I like the grit of our team. We are the #1 defensive team in the Big Ten this year. I think that tells you, okay, we got the defense down. We got the rebounding down. Now we got to put the ball in the basket a little bit.
Just getting a little bit of a look at how intense you might be on the sideline when you're out there. And you come by that honestly. You come from a great basketball background. We miss you in Philadelphia. But in terms of bringing a program to the way you want it to be here, how long a process is that? I mean, obviously you want it to be tomorrow, but
we're not patient. As athletes, we're not patient. As coaches, we're probably even less patient than that. I mean, let's be honest here. When I stepped on campus, I wanted to win right away. But there's a process. These guys got to become juniors and seniors, especially for basketball, especially in the Big Ten, to be successful. And you're right. I did learn from one of the best in Jay Wright. And I think that's the kind of guy, his character, his intensity, his fire, everything that he's about. That program won 29 games this year, did a heck of a job in the Big East. I mean, I went to the Final Four in 2009. That's my dream. That's my aspirations. That's my vision for this program. It's going to take time. We're in the best conference in the world. I mean, it's unbelievable. Izzo and Crean and Mata and Bo Ryan and Johnny Beeline. You had 3 teams in the Elite 8. That should just show you, how great this league is. And we only, I say only, but 10 games we were 6 points or less. So we are close. We just need to get over that hump a little bit. And just come together a little bit more. I've used some of his quotes, some of his speeches that I've read. I mean, he's really inspiring. We got to use what the football team was like, banding together, stick together, brothers, all the stuff that he was going through and their team. We took a lot of that, and hopefully our team can live off something like that. You're inspirational.
How about that? You're inspirational.
Hey, that's a compliment, man. Very honored for that. Absolutely.
No
any team environment, it's all the same. I mean, It rolls over in any aspect. It's great.
And you're going to see Tim paraphrasing a little bit here, but Tim and Mike, we used to just talk it out. We used to use the quotes, and I'd be like, go spend some time with those guys, see what they're doing, see how they're sticking together, and that's what's important, and that's what showed on the field.
I know you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Are you also now a Houston Texans fan to a certain degree?
I got my Houston Texans t-shirt just the other day, so I hope that's okay. I'll be sporting that around a little bit.
Well, the basketball program is in great hands. Great to see you again.
Thanks, buddy. Great to see you. Best of luck to you. Big fan.
Thank you.
Matt Chambers, who is the head coach of the men's basketball team here at Penn State, and a guy who is never wanting for energy. Great to have him here and joining us in the booth. We're a few minutes into the second quarter right now. The blue team on top in this blue-white game by a 3-0 score. And the blue team trying to move the ball once again behind freshman quarterback, I should say, Michael O'Connor.
And the blue squad 46.
O'Connor coming out of high school, where his high school coach was Heisman winner Chris Wenke.
How about that?
So you got to figure he learned a little something about quarterback.
Just a little bit. A wildcat formation. Direct snap.
Cole Ciparelli is certainly getting his carries in and his opportunity here in this spring game. As we said that he probably would. He only had one carry last year in the game against Purdue. Offense is probably a step behind the defense at this point. That's probably not out of the ordinary for a situation like this.
Yeah, anytime you get into a situation, you got limited time, and defense is always, it's a little bit easier on the mental aspect. You can just kind of turn it loose, pin your ears back.
See, now that's O'Connor trying for first down yardage, but in reality, they're going to mark the spot just shy of the 49-yard line, and it's going to bring up fourth down. Well, the blue team will come off. And another opportunity for the white team coming up. Let's take you now to Steve Jones and Jack Ham in the radio broadcast
Big
for Penn
Ten
State.
Network at the Blue-White game. Steve Jones, Jack Ham. Jack, for everyone in the Big Ten Network, just our general assessment of what we've seen in the spring so far from this team, because I think the last 2 weeks were far greater than the opening 2 weeks.
Well, I think number one, you're going to see a guy like Hackenberg who just seems to be getting better and better, more confidence. Even though it's a new system right now, the new head coach, new terminology, he seems to have that swagger right now, and a little quicker, a little bigger than last year, and obviously he will be the key.
And then the other part is, we talk about Christian Hackenberg, we flip it over to the other side. A guy that I think fans of the Big Ten need to keep an eye on is a guy that went from outside to inside, Mike Hall. What are his attributes? But at the same time, Jack, as someone who played the spot, what's it like going from outside to middle?
Well, it's a difficult transition from going from outside into the middle. I did it with my senior year in college, and probably was my worst year. But this is a guy who ran a 4.6 40. He's a smart player inside, and they needed to put him in there because there'll be a lot of different combinations, defensively, checks that he's going to have to make, and he had to be that guy. And I think as the season goes on, he gets a feel for how the angle blocks are going to come towards him, but from the middle, he can make a lot of plays. He was at 70% last year.
Yeah, the traffic pattern may be different, but I'll tell you, he has the mind as Whipple throws the ball downfield, and Kaiser came over and broke it up incomplete. But at the same time, he has the intellect that Bob Shute needs to be his leader on defense, because to Bob Shute, that's his Christian Hackenberg.
Yeah, the unsung hero last year for Penn State defensively, Carson was a really smart, tough guy inside. More athletic ability with Mike Hall, and like I said, sideline to sideline. If our defensive linemen hold up inside, get a good push and penetration, he will make a lot of plays by his quickness. And like I said, he ran a 4.6 40 and one of the strongest guys on the team.
In the Wildcat, they'll run it here, and not much room for Jack Hafner. In fact, it didn't start well because Austin Whipple, the quarterback, who was not used to lining up a wide receiver, lined up on the wrong side.
And also in games like this, in a spring game or beginning of preseason camp, the defenses always are ahead of the offense. You really don't have have a situation where your offense is really in the good timing, good sequence with the quarterbacks. It's been a kind of an okay day offensively.
You guys have any questions up there in the booth for us?
Yeah, how did you order up this weather for today?
well, this is something after 5 years. They deserved it here because the last 4 years were certainly an unqualified weather disaster. Last year there was snow.
And especially after the winter we've had here in Pennsylvania. So.
And a sacked C.J. Aladia taking down Austin Whipple back at the 7-yard line. As we mentioned, Austin's dad's going to be bringing his team in here, Mark Whipple from UMass, in September when they score off. That's the one opponent of all the opponents on the schedule that James Franklin and staff have a complete handle on. They've played UMass at Vanderbilt the last couple of years. The other ones are going to be, and that's the other part too. There is a learning curve when you come into a conference in order to get ready for everybody else. Nebraska experienced it a couple of years ago. Penn State did back in the 90s. There's a learning curve when you have to learn all new opponents.
The only good thing about that is the fact that he's coming from the SEC, which is not exactly a pushover conference.
I've heard they're good.
They've won a couple of national championships in the last couple of years.
We appreciate it, guys. We'll check back in with you in a little bit. Here we are, and we've got ourselves a timeout on the field. With 6:59 to go here in this blue-white game, still 3-0 blue. Registration is now open for the 2014 BTN Big 10K. Represent your Big Ten school on July 26th in Chicago. The 10K and 5K races, including a post-race tailgate with mascots, cheerleaders, food, and more. Register today at btnbig10k.com. We continue along here in the second quarter. The fourth member of our team and the rookie member of our team, Maggie Lucas, is standing by with a special guest. Maggie?
Hi, I'm here with Mike Maudie and Matt Maudie, and we're, getting down here on the blue and white game. Matt McGloin, I'm sorry. I was just up with Mike Maudie. But we're down here, and we're at the blue and white game. So what do you think so far of James Franklin?
It's exciting. I mean, I'm happy to be back. The atmosphere is great, as it always is, and I haven't had the opportunity to meet Coach Franklin yet, but I met a lot of members of the staff, and after talking to former players, it seems like he's really turned this place around, and it's back where it needs to be. He's the right man for the job. I'm really looking forward to meeting him.
So what do you learn from these games as a player?
Well, I mean, obviously, spring game is kind of just the big show, to be honest with you. These guys are out here. Obviously, they're playing hard. They're working their technique, working their routes. Quarterbacks working their mechanics, play actions, things like that. But they're not really getting too in depth in the playbook. But it's a good time to bring the family out, have the kids here, try to learn something, and for our guys, just to kind of go out there, kind of have a scrimmage type, game type atmosphere.
All right, well, thank you for coming down here and talking with me, but we're going to send it back up to the booth. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you, folks. Just saw a run by Michael O'Connor that resulted in a first down for the blue team. Nice ability to move out of the pocket with the pressure coming by the freshman.
O'Connor showing some legs. Didn't see anything downfield. He just tucked it and run. Nice little gain for the first down.
The 32-yard line. Just under 5 minutes to go here in this first half. There's that arm we were talking about. Not a difficult throw per se, but Kyle Carter hauls it in. That's another first down. And a late flag for a late hit. And that you don't want to be doing in a spring game.
Not something you want to see, especially against your own guys. Let's take another look at this.
Yep.
Anthony Smith there with the little extra change, giving them the business there on the sidelines.
Smith,
young guy, just trying to get his head in there.
Probably did not realize he was already past the sideline. Apparently selfies are all the rule, or semi-selfies. Now first and goal, the spin move and down inside the 5-yard line and down to the 3. Bielli continues to have himself a strong first half, and he's got his team down on the doorstep of the goal line. While the game goes on, as has been the case throughout the first half, we were talking basketball a little bit ago. We're going to continue to talk a little basketball. Tim Frazier, who joins us now. And Tim, congratulations on wrapping up a season, which was a good, positive season for your team. And also, in terms of your career, just marvelous stuff.
Thank you. I'm glad to be able to be spending these last 5 years here at Penn State.
You accomplished so much in terms of your time as a player. As you've watched what's happened here, and we were just talking with Coach a little while ago about the direction that this program is taking right now. Are you seeing that too? That there's just you're headed in the right direction?
I definitely believe so. The way coaches, he started since the day when he got here. He's come with a lot of energy. He's inspired us kids, as our players to play as hard as we can every time we step out on the court, no matter what the score is or no matter what venue. And I think that's what makes our team so special. We were in a lot of games this past year. We lost a couple, won a couple, but I think our program is headed in the right direction.
You got an opportunity to play in a postseason this year in the CBI, and again, a 16-win season. Certainly nothing to look down at in terms of what you guys were able to accomplish on a personal level. For you, when you see this part of it come to an end, I know that you're going to want to play and probably will play and will be able to play professionally beyond this, but now that it's in the rearview mirror, your Penn State experience?
It's been great. I couldn't ask for anything more. I was coming in as a freshman. I wanted to try to learn and ask as many questions as possible and try to progress each year. And I believe I've done that so far. And I couldn't ask for anything more than I've got from these 5 years.
Saw Chipielli just get in for a touchdown, our first score of the game, coming with just over 2.5 left here in the first half. And he was the guy doing the lion's share, if you'll pardon the pun, of the carries that got them into the end zone.
Chipielli here on the direct snap. Just barreling his way in there. Tim, you could run the ball a little bit, huh?
Back in my high school days.
You would, I don't know, you would lower the shoulder, or you would give him a little okey doke.
I'll just jump over the pile.
Did you play football?
High school, yeah.
Position?
Wide receiver, kickoff return, punt return. I was an offensive guy. Living in Texas, just you bleed, football. So that was definitely one of my highlights. Definitely in high school.
Obviously, in terms of your career, you had to fight through some adversity yourself in terms of being able to come back from injury. What was that like?
It was tough. But, I had a great support staff, my teammates, friends, and, coaching staff. They were always there, supporting me and pushing me throughout the process. And, I think I've had a great support group which helped me get through it and which helped me become the person I am today.
I mean, you know a little bit about what that's like coming back from injury. You had to do it 3 different times. Clearly, I think that it gets lost that it can be kind of a lonely process if you don't have that kind of support staff.
Oh, absolutely. I think Penn State does a phenomenal job of that with the trainers and really the doctors, everyone, and the coaches really too, about just keeping you plugged in. And I know while Tim was going through it, he was in there. We were rehabbing together, and it really throughout all the sports intermingling together, and everybody supports each other. So it's just a great place to really heal and rehabilitate, bond with the other players, especially. That's the kind of culture here is. That's why it's so special.
Have you given some thought about what the next level of basketball is going to be?
Hopefully, I would love to stay here and play in the United States. But obviously, I'm just going to train, and God already has His plan set for me, and I'm just going to take it and roll with it. I'm just going to train and try to get as best as I can, get the best option, and go from there.
Now, when you're trying to do that, do you go around and try to work out for individual teams? Is that how the process goes?
Right. That's how the process will go. That process will start in the next month or so. Hopefully I get a great opportunity to be able to travel, see some teams, and show them what I can do.
What's the part of your game that you think needs to be stepped up a little bit to make it to that level?
Oh, everything. We're talking you jump from high school to college. I had to up my game, in college, and now you got to go from the professional level. You got to up your game, so you want to get as good as you can on your weaknesses as well as your strengths.
Well, best of luck with it. I'm sure you're going to do well. We appreciate you being here with us.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Yep.
After a tremendous career here at Penn State, we're going to move on to what that career is going to bring next in the world of professional basketball. And great to see him here with us, as we've had a bunch of guests join us in the first half. Coming to the end of this first half very soon. There are 2 minutes now remaining to go, and the blue team on top by a 10-0 score.
Chipielli couldn't get his work in today.
Total yards, blue with a big advantage. White team has kind of struggled moving the ball. In all fairness, however, there are a fair number of first-teamers and experienced players on the defensive side of the ball for the blue team.
I think the coaches might have had stacked up the blue a little bit. Get the starters back in there on the first series.
And Crook is going to be sacked, and I'm using air quotes when I say that. Back to the 21-yard line, a loss of 4. Playing in a hurry-up right now. And that got him back to just about the original line of scrimmage. Maybe about a half-yard shy, and a 3rd down coming up for the white team.
It's a nice break on the ball there by Jordan Smith. Coming in there on a quick route. A nice tackle.
We got strategy coming now? A little timeout.
The strategy, trying to get some points on the board for that white team. Get them caught up here.
Jonathan Warner. Familiar name. Son of Kurt Warner. Went off a redshirt year in 2012. No stats last year. All-state player back in high school. With a new head coach and a wide receiving core that absolutely needs to kind of rebuild itself, I got to imagine everybody is looking to try to make an impression here this spring.
Oh, without a doubt. Anytime you get reps on in practice, especially a game like this, game situation, I mean, receivers, it's all about getting that opportunity. All you need is one big play and turn the coach's head, and next thing you know, you start getting some responsibility and start getting some more reps in there. Make some nice plays. Waiting for the triple reverse here to get the crowd going.
No triple reverse, but a pickoff.
Got Kaiser on the pick.
Ryan Kaiser going down the sideline, and that's going to give the blue team another opportunity potentially to score before halftime with 1:25 to go.
Ryan Kaiser, here's a replay. Makes a nice break on the ball. Ball's a little overthrown, floats out a little bit. Kaiser's one of these guys, though, just tells the story of the way Penn State's had to battle through these last couple of years. A walk-on, he comes in, providing depth for a couple of years, ends up getting a scholarship under Coach O'Brien, now a starter, making plays. And they're going to be dependent on guys like this, the guys who have walked on and who need to fill those numbers. Them being short on scholarships, but Kaiser with a nice play there.
A good job of reading the quarterback's eyes. We've seen that a couple of times from the blue defensive unit here in this first half. Chipielli is the lone setback once again as the blue team comes back out. And it's right back to Chipielli, who's been the workhorse. Look at this. He's going to go. Touchdown. That's a pair of them for Chipielli here in the second quarter.
Chipielli here running right through there, breaking a little tackle. Breaking a couple tackles here. Nice, strong, powerful run in there. Walks into the end zone. Chipielli getting some action today.
Since getting to campus, he's added 15 pounds through strength and conditioning. You can see it right here. That's good strength and the ability to stay on his feet. Find his way into the end zone for the second time in just a couple of minutes. Blue team looking for a 17-0 lead now, coming off the turnover. And we got a player down. The last thing you want to see.
It's probably worst nightmare here for a coach. You hope it's not too serious, but in a spring game like this, not something you want to see. Just try to get out of here healthy and get some good work in with your players. Hopefully it ain't too bad.
Apparently it's Laurent who was slow to get up. But now back on his feet. A little bit of a limp. I hope it's nothing that's too serious.
Not something you want to see with an already thin line. You know, it's coaches are got to be. Let's hope that's not too serious. He could get rehabbed up. He's be ready to go for the fall.
The extra point is good. A 17-0 lead for the blue team. So far, that's your star of the game. We're talking about the offensive line, and clearly that's something that the Nittany Lions are trying to figure out some pieces right now. They'll find out more as it goes on, and James Franklin's going to have to take a look at what it is that he's got there, because that is an area where they're thin in terms of depth and trying to figure out what parts go where. I mean, Donovan Smith at the left tackle spot is a given. Aside from that, there's a lot of things that are up for grabs.
A lot of things up for grabs. You got a couple guys switching over from defense. You got Gaia and Dowry who have come over. Diffenbach, who was out, who they're hoping to have back later on in the fall. It's going to be tough. I mean, you got a little bit of a lack of development coming through these last couple of years just with the numbers game, but you got to be able to protect Hackenberg in the grand scheme, get him back there, and then in the Big Ten, you got to find a way to control the line of scrimmage in the run game and establish that run game and get involved early in those games. So it's going to be really important to get this offensive line on track.
As the year wears on, depth is such a big key, and that's one of the areas where this Penn State team is facing challenges coming into this year. The grind to be the best has already begun. Our guys deliver the latest on position battles, interviews, and a breakdown of the on-field action. The BTN Football Report, Spring Football Edition, coming up tonight at 10 Eastern on BTN and BTN To Go. You got to look at just what a gorgeous day this is. And, last year the bad weather conditions and a number in terms of attendance below what Penn State is used to seeing. That's not the case this year. A lot of folks coming out and enjoying this terrific day. That's going to be a sack.
C.J. Olajuwon coming through there. Saw him earlier today making some nice plays on that fourth down play, but here he is just making his way through that offensive line.
Quick snap. Defense wasn't quite ready, and Wilkerson to try to avoid the tackle. Gets back to about the line of scrimmage and a little bit more.
It just looks like the offense got the defense off of their heels a little bit.
Defense made a nice recovery, didn't they?
They did. I guess if it works like that, it's all good. But when that happens in the game, if the calls aren't coming in or whatever the case may be, maybe it's a subbing issue. Guys are running on and off the field. It's hey, find the ball, make a tackle.
Looks like we got another timeout called for here now with 35 seconds left to go in the first half. I've got to imagine that's an opportunity for Coach Franklin to see whatever they've got in that last 30 seconds with a bunch of field to go, trying to see if they can get into field goal range from the offense. Laudian, 5 tackles today and 2.5 sacks. That's a day's work in one half.
Not a bad day. Might be calling it a day, I think, after that.
And now you got the punt. As we said, no return, so 28 seconds to go. Is there something specifically that a coach is looking for here in this end-of-half situation?
Well, because how many times do you get in this situation in the fall? You got, so many games come down to one drive, whether it be last drive of the first half or the last drive of the fourth quarter. You got to be prepared in these hurry-up situations, especially with today's game being so fast in the Big Ten, and so many different teams are running that hurry-up that you gotta just rep it. You got to practice it. But Coach Franklin, obviously, he knows what he's looking for, and he knows what he wants to rep with these guys. He gets some work in today.
Well, the freshman Michael O'Connor, who's getting a lot of reps in this game, on in relief of Christian Hackenberg, who played 2 series to start it, from his own 22-yard line. And that one is caught. As it turns out, that may not be the best thing with the clock still running. But you're not going to get in the way of Chipielli here in this first half.
Chipielli, a little one-handed grab there.
Down to 12 seconds left in the half. That throw to the outside, and stepping out with the completion is Tompkins. Another guy we haven't talked a whole lot about, but a guy who might end up having a pretty big role before all is said and done. I'm sure we'll get an opportunity to talk about that freshman a little bit more in the second half. Another guy who enrolled in January.
These January enrollees, there's a couple of them, Tompkins being one of them.
Now we got an opportunity to see a first half here in the blue-white game that was no doubt defense dominated, and we saw a 17-0 lead for the blue team. Defense dominated. You heard Jack Ham talking about it perhaps when we were talking a little bit earlier. Defense is generally going to be ahead of offense in a situation like this.
I think so. I mean, the defense it's a little more simple. I mean, the offense has gone through about 2% of the playbook right now, so they're just working on fundamentals, mechanics. The defense can kind of say, hey, cover forward, go play, go tackle the man with the ball. So defense is always normally a little bit ahead of the offense.
Well, we got an opportunity very briefly to see Christian Hackenberg in the early going, a kind of a bigger, stronger version of Christian Hackenberg in the early going. Maybe not exactly what he was looking for on this. He had an opportunity downfield and just overthrew Lewis. And, of course, with his head coach looking right over his shoulder, I got to imagine that's a little bit unnerving from time to time. But a bird's-eye view for the head coach and a ball that kind of got away a little bit from Christian. But Chipielli had himself a heck of a first half. The running attack for the blue team led by Chipielli, who ended up with 9 carries, 63 yards, and both touchdowns in that first half.
Chipielli is running strong today. A couple of look at him there punching his way in the goal line. Like you said, Franklin said we don't got 3 backs, we have 4 backs. So he showed himself. He's demanding a spot there and getting in the rotation.
So he led the way with 63 yards on the ground. 63 of his team's 64. 155 total yards for the blue squad in that first half. Third down conversion's a little bit of a problem in terms of both teams right now, because you got to combine 1 out of 16 in terms of the way that has gone. But as far as the first half goes, a 17-0 lead. The blue team on top, and a chance for a second half worth of action still to come on this absolutely pristine day here at Penn State. Perfect day for the blue-white game. Spring football and the beginning of a season that's felt like it's been waited for a long time in the Northeast after the winter that we all had. We're joined now by Athletic Director Dave Joyner, who's with us. I tell you what, you ordered up a perfect day for this. After the winter that we all went through, this is just a marvelous day.
I did, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah, it's a terrific day. Last year, one of the players said we played in all 4 seasons in the same day. We tried to just do one good season today.
You got an opportunity now to see your new head coach on the field for the first time with his team, and I know the level of excitement that he has created around this campus. When you take a look at what he's been able to do, he is just a fountain of energy.
He's a fountain of energy. I don't think his feet ever touch the ground, and I watch some of the players on the sidelines, and when they're there, they're just floating over in the air too. That he creates that kind of excitement that translates to the field, and I think it's going to translate to a very up-tempo type of player attitude.
Now, you take a look at what Penn State is able to do. It's not just about the football team, but you're talking about national champions that you have. And when you start taking a look at what Penn State is able to do, the Learfield Sports Directors Cup standings, right now we're looking at it. And you're looking at a wrestling team that's a national champion. There's a great pride in what's been accomplished here in recent times at Penn State.
Great pride. We've had a great success over the years, and it's a great comment about our student athletes and our coaches, what's been happening here.
When you take a look also at where, and we've been talking about the fact that there's been a progression for what's happened with the football team, and the difficulties that a coach has to deal with in terms of the sheer numbers of players that he's got, that's going to be improving over the course of time. And it kind of feels today, from having been here last year, this is almost like the next step of where Penn State football is going.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that works, and it feels like we're in the right place. And it feels like that Bill O'Brien was a great coach. He did a great job. He was terrific for this university. He was the right man at the right time. And then for whatever reason, now we're fortunate to have James to kind of take the reins. And with his energy, I think it's to build upon everything that's happened over the last couple of years and do it very well.
Now, you got an opportunity to play in spring games. You know what this is like, and the fans seem to be enjoying every last bit of this. In terms of, can you take momentum from a spring game and say, okay, we accomplished what we needed to accomplish over 15 practices and this game, and now this is going to move us into the season?
I think it definitely builds momentum. I mean, you got a little more time to work in the weight room. You got a little more. I mean, it's really all about the culmination of the spring ball. I mean, it's not about today. It's not about any one practice. It's about, you're done 15 practices. It's like, hey, let's go to spring ball. Let's get into preseason, and let's go into summer training rather. And it's really, it does build momentum, absolutely.
Now,
well, you know, Mike Mowdy, we have to talk about what Mike's meant to the university. You know, how you took the reins and grabbed everybody by the bootstraps. And you had a lot of help, the other players, and they were great, and Bill and everything. But, you know, your energy, your momentum of what you created in the middle of a firestorm really translated to the one team and all the student athletes. In that first game, we had 680 of them on the field. And it was just, Michael, it was just a tremendous thing to see you do that and what you meant to the university.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, it was a great support staff, and we had a outstanding alumni association and guys that have really built the place that we call home. So it's a really special place.
Well, thank you.
Hey, take a look at what this entire community is, and I'm stressing the word community here because you just talked about every last bit of it that went in. How important is that to what Penn State is?
Somebody described it last night. One of our coaches got up and said there's something different about Penn State. I mean, we've got great universities all over the place, but there's such passion here that when you get knocked down, the whole community, the state, everybody rallies, and with a leader like Michael to kind of stimulate things, the people get on, and the one team concept really works here. It's community, our student athletes, the whole university, and what we can do together has really been great to see.
Dave, what does it mean to you as a former player to come back and now be the athletic director? What, as far as coming here to now lead your alma mater, what does that mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you, Michael, it's a great thrill. It's great to work with amazingly talented people. And like I say, my job is to find the right people, wind them up, and turn them loose. And it's a great privilege. And, you know, when you played and you're here, you realize a little bit of what went on behind the scenes, but not the totality of it. And when you see all the moving parts, it's been a great education for me. And I'm just very, very fortunate to be at a place that has young men and women like you.
In terms of where things are going in the university and the sports programs in the future, what are we looking at?
Well, we're looking at a very broad-based program. We don't have any plans to change. We're very supportive of all of our intercollegiate athletic programs, and they're very supportive of this football team, and they really are in it together, and we're looking forward to building on what we've got now and watching these young men and women keep going.
It's been a lot of fun to watch, and this obviously today has been just kind of a culmination of what began with the hiring of a new coach and everybody kind of expecting what was going to be. You can see that energy and that excitement is coming forward, and it's a great thing to see.
Well, thank you very much. It's been really exciting to watch James go to work, and again, it was like a stone, you know, tripping across the lake. It didn't sink; it just bounced and kept going. And it's a credit to a ton of people here, from the central administration to first and foremost our student athletes and our other coaches. But then having James come in and kind of grab that thing and keep going was really something to see.
You got a lot to be proud of. Congratulations!
Thank you very much,
and we appreciate you spending some time with us here.
Great to be here with you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it,
buddy. Good
Absolutely.
luck to you.
Thank you.
And as we continue along, you take a look at what we ended up seeing here and what we're seeing here right now. Hey, you got the players out on the field getting ready for this second half, but this is something that happens every year, the autograph session, and the fans getting an opportunity to interact with the players. I know that, Mike, you were part of this when you were a player. This is kind of a special time for the fans.
Absolutely. I think as one of the more loyal fan bases, it really gives you a great opportunity to interact, and this is a great weekend for a lot of families bringing their kids out and get the opportunity to meet some of the players. And I mean, as a young kid, you know, as a player, when you shake that kid's hand and your hand wraps around it, you know, that small little hand, I mean, that's something the kid remembers for the rest of his life. So it's really great to meet out and have that community outreach here.
And it just doesn't hurt when you got a perfect day to be able to come out here and enjoy watching your favorite team play. Let's take a look. That's a lot of folks coming out here on a spring day to watch what is basically, a scrimmage.
It's glorified practice, absolutely. Credit to Franklin's marketing ability there, and a beautiful, beautiful day out here.
He said he wanted to get a lot more people here this year than last year, succeeded in that. And we are getting ready now to begin what is the second half of action here. And 10 minutes on the clock for the third quarter as the white team will come out and try to do something that they haven't had great success doing so far, which is moving the ball. It'll be a running clock here in this second half. Austin Whipple out of Wexford, Pennsylvania, Salisbury School. He enrolled in January of last year. Led his team to a New England prep title back as a senior, and he got an illegal substitution to begin the very first play.
Not something you want to see
no.
From your offense. Coach Franklin obviously probably has a few words from on that one. But
those are the types of mistakes that you're going to see in a game like this. And, you hope you figure out a way to get rid of anything like that before you get a little closer to the regular season. Whipple now firing. Tip ball. And incomplete. A little bit behind his intended receiver. Matthew Bainey right there. Right here at State College, Pennsylvania. They get a hand on the ball and flick it away.
Whipple's got to get here and get a little settled down. He's been hanging out on the sidelines, having a cup of coffee. He's got to come in here, get in a little rhythm here.
His dad was an offensive coordinator at Miami back when he was playing high school ball.
And a hit there in the backfield. Deion Barnes there, slicing through the offensive line.
Now it's time for today's United States Marine Corps Leader of the Day, and that is your leader, and is going to be your leader throughout the year. What a leader he was last season. Christian Hackenberg, 231 completions and nearly 3,000 passing yards. He set 11 freshman records, among those two. There's an interception, and Beatty's going back the other way, taking it to the house. Matthew Beatty, the local kid. It's an opportunity for excitement here at the blue-white game. The interception return for a touchdown. And the blue team continues its dominance now with a 23-0 lead.
How about that? Beatty found himself a little early birthday present. Tip ball. Another one of those guys, kind of like Deli Valley we were talking about, is a walk-on kid, providing a lot of depth, and now he's a starting linebacker and making some plays out here today.
Even though it's just a spring game, there's a certain level of excitement. I guess a defensive player, when you guys get an opportunity to find the end zone, that's special.
It's always special as a defensive player finding the end zone.
That extra point is no good. Well, it remains a 23-0 game after the defense comes up big. And Matthew Beatty finds the end zone with the interception return for a touchdown. 23-0 blue team on top. And the wind is blowing. And beautiful sky here on a gorgeous afternoon. 23-0. Blue team on top after a defensive touchdown as we are now in the third quarter. And we are now joined by another special guest who is with us in the booth. And we appreciate you being here with us. Matt, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Matt Craig, and
being here.
Penn State alum. And you're going to be talking a little bit about where Penn State is going to be opening their season this year.
That's correct, yeah. So Croke Park Classic is the inaugural Croke Park Classic. They're going to try to have it every 2 years. So Penn State and UCF are kicking this off. 30th of August. People in Ireland are really excited about this. It's going to be 70,000 people in the stadium. Already expecting 20,000 Americans are coming over for it. So, yeah, we're getting ready for it.
First time Penn State in the history of the program is going to play an international game. It'll be in Dublin, Ireland. And it's a UCF's first game ever that they've played overseas as well. When you take a look at something like that, the logistics of putting something like this together have to be really difficult.
There's certainly a lot of moving pieces in this for sure. From both universities, they've been great. Delegates from both universities are coming over in 2 weeks to do more some of the operations stuff. Just there's so much to go on, practice facilities, and even getting athletic tape and all that kind of stuff over there, and all the equipment, all that kind of thing. There's a lot to be done. So Croke Park have done a great job working with both universities, making sure everything runs smoothly.
When you start talking about bringing the teams over there, how long a period of time do they need in advance of playing the game to actually be in Ireland?
I think they're both coming over early in the week, midweek. I think Tuesday, Wednesday, I want to say, before the game. just even just jet lag and so on, trying to get used to all that kind of thing, trying to get onto a schedule and make sure they're ready for Saturday.
Now, that's something as a player that, as I said, Penn State didn't play overseas. You never had an opportunity to do that, did you?
Not at Penn State. No, we did it at Minnesota. We played in London last season, and we went over Monday, so we had at least a week to kind of get acclimated. But the jet lag is a real thing. I mean, so at least they got a couple days to get acclimated for that.
Now, they're going to be in a situation that's going to be brand new to them, but having college football over there is going to be brand new to the folks over there as well, right?
To a certain extent. I mean, Notre Dame and Navy played in Dublin a couple years ago. Croke Park have had games back in the 90s, but the first time a game has been in Croke Park since, I think, 96. But a vibrant American football culture, so I'm on the national governing body of American football in Ireland. We have 3 senior levels of football there. We're working to get into the schools and doing a youth development program at the minute. So there's a lot of interest in this game. People are getting really, really excited about it.
I notice you're developing your brogue. It's coming, isn't it?
I was hoping to tone back down being here for a couple of days, but people keep telling me that.
Well, it's an exciting thing. It's going to be something completely different and new, and everybody's really looking forward to it. As far as the preparations are concerned, like you said, they're still very well underway, and right now, everything on schedule.
But everything's on schedule. I mean, there's still some tickets have just been re-released, so we're on hold, have been re-released, so I would encourage Penn State fans to get online, crokeparkclassic.ie. Tickets, flights, hotel information, everything's on there. And we're ready to have Penn State in Ireland. As a kid who grew up in State College, went to Penn State, help them bring a game to Ireland. I'm a little excited by that.
I'm assuming you got pubs ready, all lined up?
Yeah, there's one pub in Ireland, and we're going to have it. We're going to have it ready. We have reserve supplies brought in, so we're going to be ready for the fans to have a good time for sure.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
And that is going to be the beginning of this Penn State season in Dublin, Ireland, the Croke Park Classic. Looking forward to that, and we thank Matt Craig for joining us here in the booth as we continue along here with just over 5 minutes left to go here in this third quarter in a big 23-0 lead. The blue team on top.
We're good.
Let's take you back down on the field right now to Brian Tripp. Brian?
Thanks, Scott. We're here with Bob Shoop, defensive coordinator for Penn State. A couple of interceptions, a fumble so far. How do you evaluate the performance today?
Takeaways are the great equalizer. Ryan Kaiser got his hands on the ball, and Jesse Della Valle picked up the one fumble, and then right before the half, he has the interception, sets up Chappelle on the touchdown, and then Bainey, who's a State College kid, it was great for him to have an interception return for touchdown. That was awesome.
You've asked Mike Hall to take on more of a leadership role from a vocal standpoint this spring. How has he handled that?
Incredibly well. When you talk to him, it's like talking to another coach. It's like talking to a colleague. He's not the most vocal guy, but he leads through his actions. He says the right things when it's necessary, and does an outstanding job doing everything we ask him to do. We missed something, huh?
Yeah, I think we missed something pretty big. Unfortunately, that looks like the offense there, Bob. When you look at what this team's been able to do so far this spring, the front 4 guys, what do you like about them? Alanian and Barnes on the ends, and then a couple guys in the middle.
We've tried to really improve our speed and explosiveness up front. We have good depth at defensive end, and Barnes and Alanian have played really well, and they played well today. And Zettel, at halftime, he got an award for most improved player. We moved him into 3 technique, and he's really got what we call twitch and explosiveness, and has done a great job. And Austin Johnson's a great 1 technique.
How much can you get out of a spring game?
You get a lot of situations, and you're on the field in front of 90,000 people. For us, it's learning our players, learning the mechanics of the game and things like that, and kind of just getting a feel for how the game operates and things like that, and seeing how guys handle pressure.
Bob, we'll get back to it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Scott.
All right, thanks, guys. Matt Zanolato at the receiving end of a little bit of razzle-dazzle from the blue team. The pass from Geno Lewis. And Lewis, you see his numbers last year as a receiver. It's an opportunity to break out a little bit as a quarterback, finding the open receiver. And that, once again, will bring us to a 30-0 score with the blue team on top in this ball game, and it's pretty much been that way. We're joined now by another big guest, as we are joined now by John Urschel, who is here with us. We thank you for stopping by and taking out a little time for us. And as we get his microphone turned up, we'll hear a little bit more. In terms of this and seeing this in this type of day, watching where this spring game is and getting a feel for where the program is right at this second, I got to imagine this. You feel like you've left it in pretty good hands.
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you, Coach Franklin's doing a great job. I've had the opportunity to be here the past month or so. I've been training at Penn State, watching these guys grow. I couldn't be prouder of these guys.
You guys might know each other? No? Yes.
We do. We go way back now. When I was a junior, first met John, I said, John, look, I need a math tutor. So he walks in, age 17 years old. I'm like, hey, man, teach me how to do this stuff. And he said, probably it's like teaching a toddler the ABCs for him, you know what I mean? It's a whiz, but that's how we first met, and it's been great ever since. So you got to tell everybody, what are you doing now? Well, everybody, you just won a big award. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I just came from Orlando. I flew back this morning. I won the Sullivan Award, the award for the nation's top amateur athlete.
That's huge, man. That's great.
Incredible. That's
awesome.
great.
Represent Penn State, man.
Honestly, thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
Absolutely, man.
2013 William Campbell Award winner. And obviously as well, you got the 4.0 GPA that you had in math. You got your bachelor's, you got your master's, and now you're looking for a second master's. Is that my understanding?
Yeah. Working on my second master's, but right now I'm focusing on football. Working on training, getting my conditioning up, and I'm just ready for draft day.
Now, draft day is obviously coming in a little bit less than a month. In terms of preparing for that, what can you do to get ready for, and how have you been able to showcase yourself for NFL teams?
Well, I've showcased myself at the Combine, through my pro day, through private workouts and visits to different teams. I've been on the circuit, but hopefully I'm done till draft day. I've been working on my conditioning now and just getting ready for, as soon as I get drafted, go to a team and try to contribute.
You guys both have been down this road. What is that whole process like in terms of speaking to so many guys from so many different teams and showing what it is that you can do?
It's pretty exhausting. You've been on the road all the last 2 months, and now that they've backed up the draft, it's kind of given more guys more time to travel and become more exhausted. But you learn so many different guys, and you really have to, you're thrown into the fire as far as learning the NFL as a business, and you never know where you're going to end up. So it's stressful all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have my bag packed on draft day.
Absolutely, man.
Flying out the next day.
You're going to do great, man. Whatever team gets you is going to be lucky to have you, man.
Thank you.
All right, so now you've been around once here in the NFL. Any advice for him? You got to be able to tell him something about how to acclimate
himself. Guy. He figured it out on the run, but you just take it in stride, man. It's a great experience. You only go through it once in your lifetime. Like I was telling Maggie and Tim, they're about to go into the basketball draft, so you just enjoy every minute of it, man. You just
absolutely.
Enjoy the ride. It'll be great.
Well, we appreciate you being here with us. Thanks very much, and good luck on draft day.
Thank you for having me.
We're at the end of the third quarter right now, and once again, the blue team dominating by a 30-0 score. Fourth quarter action coming up next.
Guys' effort has been unbelievable. The team has wanted to get better every week. And if we keep that up, we'll be where we want to be. We're not there now, but if we keep that effort up, we'll be where we want to be.
What's it mean to have a kicker like Sam Ficken? What's his range at right now, and how has he impressed you?
Well, if you ask him, he's going to say 70, but I like to keep him close. But he's done unbelievable this summer, this spring, this winter. He's really taken the role as a leader. He won our special teams award, and that wasn't just because he was a kicker. It's because he did step up in some big-time situations for us.
All right, Scott, Mike, back to you.
All right, thank you, guys. And we got play underway here. You saw a loss of footing for Michael O'Connor in a goal line situation. Now second and goal from the 20-yard line for the blue team, trying to get back into the end zone. Akeel Lynch, the lone back behind O'Connor. And all kinds of movement now, and flags flying. They were talking briefly about Sam Ficken and what he's been able to do. Maybe the most impressive thing that we've heard so far this spring was at the end of a practice, there was a situation that existed where he had it on the line as to whether or not his teammates were going to run and had to hit from 55 yards away in order to make it so that nobody had to run that day. And it was a double or nothing situation, as it turned out, and he nailed a 55-yarder under that kind of pressure.
I'll tell you what, Ficken's been under a lot of pressure in his career, so I'm sure running a couple extra gassers was nothing compared to 2012, hitting a game winner in overtime. He's been through it all. So that's a great asset for this team, and he's going to win some games for him this year without a doubt.
Intended receiver was Kyle Carter down the middle. And now a third down and goal situation from the 25-yard line for the blue team. As you look up in the corner, you see running clock over the course of this second half, and a shorter second half than it was first half. This is a matter of getting reps for guys here in this fourth quarter and kind of moving it along. O'Connor, the freshman. And that's a fumble. And live ball picked up by the white team.
Kyle Carter trying to get a little fancy with his moves. It's a ball popped out. Situation like that. Just want to get upfield and get as many yards as he can. It's a great tackle there.
Carter Henderson with the recovery.
Adam Cole here, a young linebacker, getting in there and making a nice, breaking down. Look at that form tackle. Look how low he gets with his bending at the knees, not the hips, and flat square back. He's got his head up, puts his hat right on the ball, knocks it free there.
That's the kind of thing that's going to impress a coach.
Oh, without a doubt. Especially as a linebacker guy fighting for some time. He's going to help him out on special teams. And linebacker, you got to play teams and get in there. It's great to see him making plays.
That ability to be able to impress as part of a roster and play on special teams, that's something that followed you last year into the National Football League.
Absolutely. Special teams is a huge part of the game, especially with the numbers. We saw him last year struggle a little bit on teams with a lot of walk-on, a lot of freshmen, young guys on teams, and kickoff teams really struggled a little bit throughout the year. But you like to see him work on that, and with the new special teams coordinator, I think they're going to get that fixed up, patch the holes a little bit.
Once again, numbers really the key for this Penn State team, and the sheer number of players they have, the ability to try to contend with what they do have. The biggest thing that it generally hurts is depth, so it's so important this year in terms of being able to keep a team healthy. Offensive line will be a big part of that. The linebacking core will be a big part of that. Trying to keep this team healthy is huge. There you go. Whoever thought there was going to be a day in the middle of that winter where you're going to have to put a towel over your head to block out the sun? And for most of, and you were in Minnesota, so I shouldn't really be complaining at all, but in the Northeast, the sun was kind of a rumor for the entire of the winter.
I was lucky. I got to go south to Louisiana for the off season, so I tried to avoid that winter that everyone was talking about.
Back up in Minnesota now for OTAs. Pretty cold up there?
It's actually nice. We had about 7 inches over the weekend, and then a couple of days later it was melted. So it was a quick little snowstorm we had. But hopefully it's all behind us. Get on to a nice summer.
And we are joined now by another guest in the booth. Wally Richardson is with us. Thank you for being here. We thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
When you see what you're seeing out there here today, what are you thinking?
Well, I think it's another practice, but it's in front of the lights, in front of the crowd. So I think the guys are always excited about that, get a chance to get out in front of your fans and perform.
Now, when you got an opportunity to do this as a player, what were you taking away from the couple of reps that you did get?
Well, you just wanted to go out there and play to the best of your ability because you knew the coaches were evaluating what you were doing, things that you learned during the spring, whatever points of emphasis they told you going into the spring they wanted you to improve on. So you really wanted to show improvement and, just stay healthy throughout spring practice so you could get the reps that you need to improve and get better.
You got a head coach now here on this sideline, or not even on the sideline today, right in the middle of the field. That's a dynamo of energy. What are you seeing from him so far?
Well, like you said, he's got a great deal of energy, and that's translated to his coaches, the players. Everything is upbeat. There's no walking around at practice, just trying to practice with a purpose and get things done and improve each and every day that they're out there and not waste any time.
And again, we're talking about a progression here, and what has happened as Penn State has come back. It feels kind of like this is the next level, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of excitement. Coach Franklin's in his first year, so everybody's kind of like, what's next? So I think there's some excitement there, and everybody really wants the program to be successful and doing everything we can to help him and his staff have success here.
If you're looking for the level of enthusiasm from everybody, last year around 28,000, 72,000 in the crowd today. That's quite a number. Yeah,
not a bad day for a spring crowd.
That's good.
We thank you for being here. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Thanks, Wally.
All right.
And the freshman quarterback doing a little bit of running, as he has a couple of times throughout this game. We've seen a little bit of Michael O'Connor. We thought we were going to see a fair amount of him as he was going to be the guy backing up Christian Hackenberg, who, if you're joining us late, played a couple of quick series to start things out. But this has been more about seeing what Michael O'Connor can do.
I think that position is going to be critical, though, because if anything were to happen to Hackenberg down the road, and maybe if he needs to take a blow in a series or something like that, and maybe if he gets banged up, O'Connor's the guy. He's got to take this thing and run with it. So it's important for him to get these reps are critical for him.
There's Lynch again, taking it to the outside on second down. And we were in basically the closing moments with running clock of this game. There ain't going to be a whole lot more football at this point. After this is done, people are going to start thinking about the regular season. We told you it's going to be starting in Dublin, but the conference schedule this year starts out with Penn State's first visit to Rutgers since, get this, 1955. That's the beginning of the conference schedule on September 13th. You got a game at Michigan that's going to be played under the lights, a game against Maryland for the first time since 1992. The regular season wraps up at home against Michigan State.
O'Connor hitting a nice little quick slant here. Santaletto.
Start taking a look at that schedule. Clearly, it's a challenge.
Oh, without a doubt. You got some tough teams on there. Ohio State at home. You got at Michigan in the big house.
Games at Indiana and Illinois in the month of November after playing Maryland here. And then, as we said, wrapping up against Michigan State.
I think that's a pretty manageable schedule for Penn State this year. Given you got the big Michigan games, the Ohio State games, but Michigan State to close it out. But for them to have another winning season, I think for them coming off 2 winning seasons after you have the sanctions was something to be said for the way Coach O'Brien did and carried them through that situation. And I mean, I think Coach Franklin's just going to pick this thing up and run with it. So this year will be tough with their numbers, especially like we talked about all day with the offensive line. But he's been recruiting, and he's going to bring some talent in here and fill up that roster. Taking some notes here.
Taking a lot of notes today.
He's probably filled up that little notepad he's got.
Throwing for the corner of the end zone, and just a little bit too tall over in that corner of the end zone. He was trying to find Zanalato.
Who knows what he's writing? He might be writing a recipe or something.
I don't think so.
No.
One whole yellow onion. No, that's not what he's writing down right now.
Grocery list? No.
Not a grocery list either. Unless coaches call it a grocery list of the things that they're going to be working on between now and when things start again, because it's going to be a very, very active period of time leading up to the regular season. And as we said, interesting way of starting it when you're going overseas to start your season.
Yeah, that's always tough on a team, just to see how they react. You kind of get to test and get a feel for your leadership, guys, when you're traveling and you're going to new places and hotels and keeping an eye on all your guys, your flock. You know what I mean? You don't know how your 18 to 22-year-olds are going to react going to another country and playing a football game. So it's kind of like a little bowl game for them. I guess that's why they set it up to international game. You get a great experience for these young kids. It should be a great game.
Another series of good throws by the freshman, and O'Connor finding his tight end Kyle Carter for another first down. Trying to see if they can get in the end zone one more time in this final minute.
See if Carter can redeem himself from that fumble earlier, but it's another guy, him and Jesse James. We haven't seen him today, but those two tight ends are going to be nice little 1-2 punch for Hackenberg.
Connor's got 11 completions for 81 yards here in this game. And now trying to find the end zone on the outside is Lynch. He got it. Touchdown. Akeel Lynch gets in with the score with 25 seconds left to go.
It's a great run by Akeel with the patience. You see him running behind his pulling guard. He's letting the play develop. He's taking it slow. Let's watch the replay here. Guard's pulling out. He's waiting for that linebacker to commit, and he pops outside and gets in the end zone. It's a great run there by Akeel Lynch.
Nice patience. Pickens' extra point is perfect. And that is going to end the ball game. Notepad put away, pen put away. A lot more work coming up a little bit later on down the line. But overall, what did you see today here in this 37-0 win for the blue team?
Well, I mean, we saw they loaded up the blue roster a little bit with the starters, but I think they got what they came for today. I mean, it is a glorified practice, a little bit of scrimmage, but you know, the defense is obviously going to control the line of scrimmage with that veteran defensive line. You know, they came out early a little bit, making some plays. Offense kind of was pitter-patter a little bit, but they got to going with the run game with Chipielli there, making some nice plays, turning some coaches' heads a little bit. But I think overall was successful.
All right, that is going to do it from Penn State as the James Franklin era officially begins. The blue team knocking off the white team 37-0. For Mike Maldi, Brian Tripp, and our other reporter, Maggie Lucas, I'm Scott Graham saying so long from University Park. This has been a presentation from the Big Ten Network.